I'm Scott. I'm the owner and creator of MatPass. I'm here with a friend of mine, Lance. Me and this guy go to war every single day on the mats here at Ohana Academy. And man, this guy it's not just a blue belt in Jiu-Jitsu, but he actually has a black belt in MCMAPs coming out of the military. He was a Marine, and he served his time. And man, I just can't wait to ask him a few questions about what that's like. Like, what are some of the differences between training military-style martial arts versus civilian-style martial arts and stuff like that. So, hey, thanks, Lance, for joining us.
No, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Could you tell everybody a little bit about like your military career, what you did, and then I know you're a firefighter afterwards, paramedic.
Yeah. So my name's Lance Broich. I served in the Marine Corps infantry from 2012 to 2019. Deployed to Afghanistan. Deployed to the Middle East in Kuwait, Iraq, Syria. Kind of been around that part of the world for most of my time in the military. So one of the things that is pretty common to do in the Marine Corps, at least in the infantry, is to do what's called MCMAP, which is the Marine Corps Martial Arts Program. Every branch of service has their own version of combatives.
Yeah.
And we've kind of developed ours off of Jiu-Jitsu, Krav Maga, some Muay Thai, some boxing, and other just various methods of methods of attack. So radically different from Jiu-Jitsu as far as in the proper sense that we have now. Military martial arts focuses on violence of action and truly maiming your whoever it is you're going up against, so potentially the enemy. But radically different. A lot of fun either way. It gives you a really good fundamental, and it gives you an understanding of how to engage your partner or engage a combatant in a way that will both keep you safe and will minimize the actual amount of contact that you have between them, so that you can either break contact or continue on forward. Here in Jiu-Jitsu, the big part of it is the control piece. So controlling our partner, getting dominant positions, making sure that we're dictating the pace and dictating their, what we want for them to do.
Yeah.
So it's similar in the way that it is very contact, and this is a combat sport. So it has a few parallels.
Yeah.
It has a few parallels for sure.
So how did you stepping into a civilian martial arts gym? How did the experience doing that translate over once you started training?
So the biggest piece that translated, at least for me, was the violence of action piece, and understanding that everybody is here for a common goal, which is to get better.
Yeah.
No, we're not everybody here on the mat's going to war, or not everybody on the mat is going to be fighting for their life, in a hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
But everybody here generally has the piece of getting healthy, getting better, and learning self-defense and learning ways to protect themselves on the street or at a gym, and just getting overall healthy.
Yeah.
So it does have some differences, but it's one and the same. It's just how you're able to turn it up in intensity level versus turn it down. So.
Yeah, like I'm one of the big experiences I've had, particularly training here, because San Antonio is a military city. Almost tons of guys in here, former military. And it's just cool to be able to share the mats with those guys, knowing that a good portion of their younger life was actual combat, was actually fighting, was actually doing stuff overseas. And now they're coming in here, and it's almost like we're starting at a similar level. It's kind of fun having that back and forth with guys that really know true violence, like is a real thing. I remember one of the first realizations I had with that. I was rolling with a guy, I forget his name, man. I just remember he used to wear this red marine gi, and we were rolling, and I had him in knee on belly, right? I was a white belt. I had him in knee on belly, and he's like, and I was like, oh man, are you okay? And he's like, Oh, he's like, that's just the bullet. It's cool. It's cool. I got a bullet right there. I was like,
Oh,
dude,
man.
this
That's
guy's
so
been
funny.
through some stuff, man. So like, dude, it's awesome being able to roll with you guys, learn from you guys. Like, and so as far as jiu-jitsu goes, you probably would have a better grasp on how applicable it is in like daily self-defense situations than most people would. What are some of your views on that, and what do you find to be like one of the more effective martial arts for daily self-defense?
So in daily self-defense, like, since I've rotated out of the military, I went ahead and went into the first responder role. So I'm a paramedic firefighter here in the Hill Country, and there's potential for the scenes to go wrong every day. And there has been instances where we've had a combative patient, or we've had somebody that is combative with law enforcement, or combative with the firefighters or paramedics that are there on scene, and being able to confidently and competently be able to hold them down in a way that does not injure or hurt them, but also does not injure or hurt ourselves in doing it.
Yeah.
Because there's lots of ways that people can subdue somebody and get them down, and not all of them are the most gentle proper ways, and a lot of ways could actually end you up in hot water on the legal side of things. So being able to articulate yourself and have a working knowledge of what works versus what don't work.
Yeah.
Like, for example, there'd be very few situations that you would truly get like a blast double on somebody, or a single leg takedown or a double leg takedown on somebody in the street. Most of the time, if it were to happen, you're going to gain control of their wrist. You're going to gain control of the arms. You can come down to the ground in a way that's not overly violent, and be able to control whoever you need to.
Yeah.
Whether they be in the back of an ambulance, or inside of a hoarder house, or inside of a house, like wherever have you. It has its place in the daily for my job.
Yeah.
And I super appreciate everything we're able to learn from here, and all walks of life, because every scene we go to is going to have a different kind of person with a different mentality, with a different mindset, with a different body style. And being able to roll with people that are of all walks of life, are of all shapes and sizes, gives you an idea of what potentially there is that you may walk into.
Yeah.
It's just an added confidence thing, but it also lets you know when the best time to step away is.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say that you walk into every situation knowing that, like, oh yeah, I totally got this, or I have all this, and you have this false sense of confidence that will get you hurt.
Yeah.
But it also gives you the opportunity to check in with yourself and be real and honest with yourself as a whole, to be humble enough to know when to, step back, call for backup, call for help, and really look at the situation as a whole.
Yeah. It's like almost like an insurance policy.
Definitely.
Like I know when I got my concealed handgun license, I got that kind of humbled feeling the first time I was carrying.
Yeah.
Because it's like, man, like it's almost like you've gained the ability to defend yourself on another level, but you've also gained a heavy responsibility, and it's like when something gets heated, a lot of times your immediate reaction is not to get heated back. I mean, 99.9% of the time is like, let me see the easiest, most calm solution to rectify the situation, because things could get ugly if this thing really escalates. And it's like the weight of that. I think I see what you're saying as far as that translates to the mat. It's like when you have the ability to do something, and you understand you have the ability to do something, it's kind of a thing of where, okay, well, now that I know that I can use this, I can use it as a way to keep myself calm and not use it, unless I absolutely have to. Like, nobody wants. I mean, no decent person wants to break somebody's arm.
Yeah, exactly. But it really is one of those things of better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Yeah.
Because things do happen. Things do happen every day. We drive up and down the road, and we don't know who we're going to be driving up against. We don't know who's going to be having a bad day, and who's going to want to inflict violence upon you or your family or your friends. And we're not able to control the world around us. So what we're able to control, and what we're able to better is ourself, and how we're able to, channel everything that we're learning from our partners, from our coaches, from our professors, and be able to harness it in a way that we are conscious of it.
Yeah.
Because there is this perception, at least it was for sure in the military, that whenever things got rough, a lot of guys would be like, "Oh, I'm going to see red. I'm going to see red, and I'm going to see red. Bodies start dropping." And to be absolutely honest, like that is such a dangerous mentality because that will get you into way more fights than you need to be into.
Yeah.
And if you do get into that scrap, if you're fighting with somebody that actually has trained martial arts or any sort of anything, it's similar to like playing with a child. Like,
yeah,
it really is not. It's noticeable. So it definitely gives you that check with yourself to know what is practical, what is not practical, what is realistic, what is not realistic. Yeah. So I'm really grateful for that, getting into this.
Yeah, it's like you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know.
Dude, I had no idea. I remember I walked in here. The first time I walked in here, because he started, a few months before I did.
Yeah.
I walked in here, and I was like, okay, I know a choke. I know how to do a. Let's see, what did I know how to do? I knew how to do a rear naked choke.
I'm gonna get this. Yeah.
I knew how to do an Americana, and I think I might have known an armbar, but I wasn't very good at it. I knew a triangle. I could not do it at all. Okay.
Awesome.
But I had that Americana. I had that choke, and I had the trap the leg, kind of turn sweep. I had that. I had those three things, and like whenever I was wrestling with my buddies outside before I came here, man, like I could kill them because I had those three things.
Oh, man.
So I walked in here. I was like, I'm going to learn, but maybe I'll impress somebody with these three things that I know.
Yeah.
I did not impress.
Oh,
anybody.
no.
Nobody was impressed by my three things. I really wasn't coming in here as super cocky, but in the back of my head, I was like, man, if I could land this.
Oh, no.
No. And it's like, you realize the depth of knowledge that you think you have is like a drop.
It only goes so deep, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for myself, even coming in, because like we were saying, I was a black belt in MCMAP, and we went over some jiu-jitsu, and there went over triangles and wrist locks and arm bars and stuff like that. But the foundation of control and being able to stay in the fight for like periods longer than a few seconds was not so relevant.
Yeah.
And very quickly, like, there were a couple things that I knew, but as a white belt, like, I was totally unprepared for the amount of knowledge that I would gain from here and how underprepared I felt.
Yeah.
Even as a, proficient, competent, infantry Marine that has a knowledge of their martial arts program. So actually, it was another Marine that had brought me into here. He was my first sergeant when I transitioned into the reserves out of active duty, and he had been rolling for some time. And I think he was either a blue belt or a purple belt. But I had done my trial class at the Ohana back when it was off Jones Maltzberger.
Yeah.
Like many moons ago. And doing that, it was like I really felt the sense of like camaraderie that the guys brought to the gym, and I really appreciated how everybody that went in there was very welcoming and had that real sense about them, that they knew what they were capable of, they knew what they weren't capable of, and it was a pretty it was an awakening but a forgiving environment, if that makes sense. Like you were able to see how helpless you truly were, and where your areas of improvement needed to be. Like all the holes that were in your game were exposed like right away.
Yeah.
But after I had my first trial class, it gave me that wake up call of like, man, I owe it to myself, I owe it to my family, I owe it to my friends, to get better. And I can't just live on yesterday's successes of like, oh yeah, back in the day I was a black belt, yeah, I was an infantryman, like yeah, those are important to carry with you, but by no means make that like the staple of who you are. And the cool thing about jiu-jitsu and as a whole is that it's a constant journey. Like even after you get to your brown belt, black belt, it's a constant linear journey, like upward and in learning. And you're gonna have your flows and your ebbs and flows of your plateaus and your valleys and your mountains, but it's always a continuous thing. Like, it's never like, all right, we're done, we got the black belt, like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
We're over.
Yeah. Well, we've got guys in here that have been black belts for 20 years.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that there is that mindset, because a vast majority of the military are younger, and they're led by younger guys also. I think some of my most senior guys when I was in were in their late 20s, like early 30s, and those were immediate supervisors and even like higher level. But it's kind of, I don't want to say the blind leading the blind, but you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So the guys are teaching something that they feel like is correct, and because what they know and it works for our level of functioning. But getting out and being able to see the world as a whole and seeing how there's so many more like opportunities to grow, rather than what we've just seen in our like narrow window of view, it's eye-opening.
Yeah.
It's eye-opening, and it's sobering. It's definitely a sobering reminder of if you don't grow and if you don't try to catch up, you're going to get left behind. And it's an everyday thing. So I appreciate that the most about being here, is the ability and the need to grow.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, hey, Lance has a bushcraft channel on YouTube. Is it YouTube or Instagram? I know it's on Instagram, but what about, is it on YouTube too?
So it's in the works right now for YouTube.
Okay.
So it's in the works. So jiu-jitsu is my passion that I have, with my body, mind, self, strength grow. Absolutely love it. It's every day I make it a priority. But my little side interest that I had gotten into, that I had always been into, is bushcraft. But yeah, I do have a bushcraft channel. So Jackalope Bushcraft. It's on Instagram. It's still in the growing phases right now. But we teach everything from, we teach everything from pack making, shelter building, fire making. Go over different scenarios, medical training in the field, and some field grade military kind of techniques and ways to better prepare yourself for whatever situation it might be.
That's awesome.
But it's the coolest. It's the coolest, and it gives me a lot of purpose, just like jiu-jitsu does, just like my family does.
Yeah.
It gives me a lot of purpose and growth. So
Yes.
it's the bomb.
Yes, so I'll tag all that stuff in the description. But until next time, I'll see you on the mats. Us.